Hey y'all, it's Cindy Cobb with Around the Town in the South, and I am here with one of my favorite comedians. I have been following him since the 80s. Yes, I'm aging us. Listen, we're sitting in El Rayo restaurant, Robert St. John's restaurant in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
It is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. We want to thank Robert and his crew, his whole staff, for allowing us to do this vlog here. If you haven't been to El Rayo, just come take pictures. It's a great photo op place, but we're going to have lunch at 11. It is absolutely beautiful in here. I've already taken so many pictures. Let's get down to business. I'm here with Killer Beaz.
Yay!
If you've never heard of Killer Beaz, you can Google him immediately and his story pops right up. We reconnected after years. I used to go watch him. Is that what you would call watch him, listen to him, laugh at him, laugh with him? At the Comedy Barn in Jackson, Mississippi, actually Ridgeland, Mississippi.
Up at the reservoir.
Right across from the dock. Hey, DeWitt.
Correct.
Anyway, we reconnected and I've been following him, and so I asked him would he be on my show, and he said absolutely. So tell us.
Stalking is really the word that I would use to describe this, just for full disclosure.
He's
to
right.
everyone. So
He's right. It's true. I did stalk him.
when she is smitten, she does not go halfway.
I don't.
So she is all in.
Well, anyway, it's Killer Beaz. That's KILLERBEAZ.
Because we did not know any better.
Because they know how to spell bees.
Yeah, I grew up in Mississippi, so there's that.
So let's catch up. I know that in the 80s, you were on a kind of a circuit tour with, do you remember Carrot Top and James Gregory? Both of them are still out there. And Killer Beaz would come through also and have their comedian acts. And it was one of my favorite places to go for date night and just to hear a good comedian. So thank you for joining me this morning.
Oh, my pleasure. This is fun.
So tell us a little bit how you got started. What was your first laugh and where you are now?
Gotcha. Well, people ask me all the time, they go, how did you get started doing stand-up? And the quick answer to that is I did not do my homework growing up. So it became either to get a job where you had to like work, or either be able to say funny and enlightening stuff to people. So, and I've been compelled my entire life to be funny. This is a true story. When I was a toddler, this is one of the earliest memories in my dome. As a little bitty boy, I lived in a funeral home in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, Jordan Funeral Home. My dad was a funeral director, and we lived upstairs in the funeral home. I had no concept, y'all, of life and death, of funerals, that kind of stuff, but I saw sad people come and go from my home when I was a little toddler every day, and I had no idea what that was about. But I had the run of this funeral home, and so I vividly remember that I could do silly little cute stuff, and the crying people would stop crying and come over and talk to me and smile.
Aww.
And honestly, y'all, I think that is one of the big things that fuels my compulsion to make people laugh. Because I'm the same way off stage as I am on stage. My wife will tell you that is annoying to no end. But I just feel like we should all treat every day, we should get up and decide we're going to be happy each day that God gave us, until at least 11:30 when we realize it's going to suck like yesterday. But
that's great words of wisdom.
Yeah, I don't do good around stoic people. I think there's something wrong. So that really has fueled my compulsion my entire life to be funny. I was class clown in school, wittiest, all that kind of stuff.
That's surprising.
So yeah, I know. Go figure, right? So
I love that you started early and you didn't even realize you were using your art to make people laugh and be happy again in such situations that aren't. I love that.
True. Well, you know, we have gifts from God that we don't realize we have. One, because we don't search Him out and ask Him, okay? But literally my whole life I have been an upbeat look on the happier side of things. Fun fact, way back in Jackson, Mississippi, in the early 70s, I ran 911 calls in an ambulance in Jackson. I did that for 3 years. and was, to my knowledge, the youngest person to do that gig. I was 17 when I started. I was a senior at Wingfield High School.
Wow.
So the job I have now is the exact opposite emotional content from what I saw and dealt with as a young man in the ambulance. I was great in an ambulance. I was little, me and my partner, I'll be right back with you. My partner and I were like, we were the young guns. He was 18, I was 17, and we were little. So we would do these calls, and we were on it. I mean, we were like the young guns, but we would get to calls, and I'd be like, imagine me coming to pick you up if you have a broke leg or something. I'm like, woo, look at your leg. You got to give me a minute. That is so gross. Hang on, dude. Let me get a selfie of that. Oh, my God.
That's hilarious.
What do you weigh? 368 pounds. That is awesome. Can you crawl over to that ambulance and get in it? Because
we can't pick you up.
Because we cannot pick you up. You would save your family so much money if you took a cab.
Instead of an ambulance.
And they were always upstairs, no elevator, so.
That's hilarious. Well, looking back on your career, which we're not gonna age us because we're just in our 30s still.
Yes.
What's the most memorable show that you've ever done that you can think of?
Well, there's been a lot in 40 years, and especially for somebody who is shy to start with. It amazes me still that I will walk on stage in front of people and try to speak to them and entertain them. It is terrifying, y'all, and it takes so long to get good at it. So the learning curve is incredible, but there's been some really neat gigs. I did a show one time at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway the night before the first ever NASCAR race there, the Brickyard 400. I opened the show on a concert. I did 1 minute because they didn't want to hear a comedian, and got several $1,000s opening for, it was me, then a gentleman named Zach Wilde, who was Ozzy Osbourne's guitar player, his band Pride and Glory at the time, then 38 Special, then Bad Company, then Ted Nugent, and then the Leonard Skinner Band. So at that point in time, I was doing some projects and stuff with the Skinner guys. I'm on a record with them. We did a NASCAR compilation album when I was with Columbia, the Columbia label out of Nashville. But anyway, so I went out and did shows with them, and we hung out and remained friends for years and years. But there were I think 120,000 people in the
arena
grandstands at the Speedway.
Oh my goodness.
And so that was a very, very cool gig to do it with all those celebrities. And my wife and I were backstage at the catering area, and they fixed up, because these were high-profile performers.
And they still are.
And all this stuff. And so we're sitting there eating, and we see this real pretty, tall girl, just pretty girl. We're sitting there eating, we see her walk, and she'll walk by, and whenever the roadies would see her, they'd all just split. And I'm like, look at that. She was trying to find a place to sit, so my wife said, come sit over here. So she goes, thank goodness. I go, because I don't have a filter. I go, hey, why are all these people running from you? She goes, Ted Nugent's my daddy.
Oh!
So evidently he had put the call out that anybody talking to his daughter would get the next flaming arrow. He was shooting flaming arrows at a guitar during his concert in those days.
I
so
can't
that
even
was a cool
imagine
one.
doing that with all of those artists. I mean, I've seen them growing up, but having them all in one venue, I mean, I would have been in awe.
It was amazing. It was we would use 38 Specials tour bus. That's where we would all hit the restroom, so we didn't have, you don't go up in the stands because you can't ever get back out.
That's right.
And so it was a lot of fun. Gary Rosington gave me a Les Paul Custom. He was a real sweet to me. Gave me I wanted to be a guitar player, but I'm better at being funny. But I still have guitars.
Can you play the guitar?
Kind of. I know 3 notes, 3 blues notes, but I know them at 2 different dots. Okay, and I shake them. I have good guitar face.
I bet you do.
And I make it look real hard. So yeah. But Gary Rosington gave me the amp head that he had toured the world with the Rosington Collins Band, which was the band they put together right after the plane crash.
Oh, wow.
And then, fast forward 17,000 years until present day, my first season on the Discovery Channel series Moonshiners, I called Ed King, my buddy who I had kept in touch with, who co-wrote Sweet Home Alabama with Ronnie Van Zant, played all that great guitar on Sweet Home Alabama, and a bunch of the other stuff that Skinner did. He also wrote, back in Otami days when he was a teenager, Incense and Peppermints for the Strawberry Alarm Clock. So this cat had a #1 world record when he was a teenager.
Oh, wow.
So when I was trying to get on Moonshiners, I called him up one time at home. I go, look, man, he go, Beaz, what are you doing? I go, what? I need your help with something. Anything. I'm like, okay. I go, man, I'm trying to get on this TV show, and you can help me. What do you need me to do? Well, I need you to buy $30,000 worth of illegal moonshine on camera in your home. So he was like,
he did it?
He was like, let me call you back. So we had to negotiate back and forth, but we actually got the deal done, and that was what cinched me getting on the show with New York, because they were balking at the time. We don't need this guy, he's not a moonshiner.
Right.
And when we contacted them and said, well, if you'll put me on, I'll bring the Skinner guy.
Oh, and they said yes.
The executive producer, who never comes out to a shoot, flew into Nashville and came to the guy's mansion with us because he wanted to meet him.
No way.
So I get to do cool stuff like that.
That's very cool.
Conversely, there are gigs that are terrible, that are lonesome and sad and sketchy. I did a show in Northern California during the Dixie wildfire, like a month or so ago. And it rained ashes and soot on us. It was an outdoor concert, and it actually rained fire debris on us during it. So that was a sad one. Didn't many people come. They sold a lot of tickets, but nobody came. We had like 40 people there because they were evacuated.
Absolutely.
All around the area. Everybody's phone was going off.
I'm surprised they had you in.
Well, I you know what?
Half comedian, full travel.
It was one of those things from like, it was a pretty stout paycheck, and I'm like, if I don't show up and walk on stage,
I don't get paid.
I don't get paid. If
Gotcha.
I show up, you know, if I call them and go, well, I can't come out there during that fire, then they go, oh, you're right, it was an act of God. Sorry.
Sorry.
Instead, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I got ashes in my eyes. And so,
All right, so let's get to now. I know you're doing that, or you on the Discovery Channel. I know you've been traveling some, and y'all can follow him on his Facebook page.
Killer Beaz Comedy.
Killer Beaz Comedy.
Beaz.
You have Instagram too?
We have taken we're revamping Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and all that stuff. It'll be back up. It's down right now. So right now we're doing Facebook right now. But that's coming up in the very, very near future. We're redoing all that. I have an egghead son who is very creative and is great with content and stuff, so he's partnering with us.
I can't wait to see that. So what are you doing now? You're touring now, and I know that because we talked about dates, and we decided to get it done. Get her done. Who is that, James?
Larry the Cable Guy.
Larry the Cable. Get her done.
Who, the first time I ever worked with him, we did shows together in the Bahamas, and he was Dan Whitney, the freight train of comedy. That was before Cable Guy even existed. So he's been around a long time and has paid the dues forever and ever.
And he's so good.
So now I'm going back and forth to the Smoky Mountains, filming for Moonshiners, because we're still in the process of doing this season.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my stand-up tour, and also I have a monthly appearance at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. Wow. So that's a pretty cool gig there. I mean, that's I'm the worst person they have on there, and I'm freaking great. And they sell out the shows every time, and the audience is a cross section of the entire country. That's one of the cool things about that show. The people who live in Nashville generally don't go to the Grand Ole Opry because they can, the guy who's waiting on them at O'Charlie's is a world-class picker. So, but anyway, people come from all over the country, and they have invested hundreds of dollars and travel, and they've looked forward to this, so they want you to do good. So it is an absolutely awesome crowd because everything out of your mouth they just love. It could just be the setup. I'm sure glad to be here. Wow.
Well, that's awesome. So do you have a website that they can go look at your tour and all of that, or is he revamping that right now?
KillerBeaz.com, BEAZ. So, and tour dates should be there, but right now for all us performers, our tour dates are just shuffling and rolling. So, KillerBeaz.com and Killer Beaz Comedy on Facebook.
That's awesome.
So
if there's one thing that you could tell us going forward with your 40 years and where you see yourself, I know that you've lived this life and it's been more of a testimony of your heart because you started doing it with the testimony of your heart to cheer up people in the funeral home. Where do you see yourself and with your comedian act? We're young chickens, but what is your goal? I mean, what makes you get up and do it every single day and to continue to do it and do these tours? I mean, that's hard.
It is hard, but I'm really motivated. I'm lucky that I get it, that I've been given a gift to be able to bring levity to people. I'm not one of, if you've ever seen my act, I'm a silly act. I like funny. I don't like politics. I'm not a put down comic. So I kind of like that. As far as my 40 years in the business, I'll be perfectly honest. I wish that during that entire 40 years I had conducted myself with more integrity and with more leanings toward trying to be godly. So it is so easy to get away from that when you're in the battle, and especially when you're surrounded by enablers. When you're the cash cow, buddy, whatever addictions or habits or hang-ups you have, buddy, they'll feed them just to keep you around. So I'd have been smarter and kinder and purer, and would have relied more on guidance from the man upstairs. Other than that, I'm pretty good at it.
And that's a great thing because you are that. Somebody asked me, I was talking about coming and doing this vlog with Killer Beaz, and I'm like, my knees are shaking. Anyway, I said
that's
he's
policy
clean.
From her age.
I'm going to kill you.
Sorry.
It is.
She said she's going to kill me if something happens to me. In 400 years from now, if I kill over from old age, Cindy said
he was with me. We were riding around
did it.
the town of Hattiesburg.
Cindy, what's that awesome perfume? Asbestos?
You're crazy. He's clean. So if you go to Google or YouTube and you listen, he's got a YouTube page, and you can go there and listen to him and watch his comedic acts. Y'all, he's just hilarious, and he's so clean, and that's what I loved about listening and watching you and watching your journey. So I'm so excited to connect with you, and I'm going to continue to watch you as you grow. We're going to have him back on here as things go, because I love having my guests on here as life goes on and what you're into and what you're doing. So I'm looking forward to that too. So anything else you would like to say to our viewers other than thank you so much? I'm in awe that you're on my show. It seems like yesterday that I was in the Comedy Barn listening to you.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. And to be sitting here 40 years later and actually having an interview with you. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure for one thing, man. This has been a hoot. I enjoy it. So anyway, y'all, keep the faith. Have faith. Every day you got to have faith. The content that you'll see online from me is clean content. My show is still, it's an adult content show, but you won't hear F-bombs and things like that at my show.
We don't like those.
I don't want to offend people. The comedians who say if you're not offending people, you're doing it wrong, are doing it wrong. Okay? When you have a gift, you have an obligation to do it right. And try to raise the bar. So that's and we all struggle to do that, especially when you work in nightclubs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head's at.
Well, I love that. And I think that the wisdom and the growth that you've had and where you are now, I can't wait to see where you will be in 10 years.
Yeah, me too. If I'm above ground, that'll be good. That'll be one. We're gonna be looking for that. So, well, Sandy, thank you very much. This has been a hoot.
I know, thank you. We're going to have lunch at El Rayo in a little while. I'm going to do a vlog from there. We'll do a couple of things just with the food. So thank y'all for joining us. Remember to follow Killer Beaz Comedy on Facebook, and then check him out on his website. So he's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No. That's about it, probably.
we may do a joke a little bit later, just one-on-one, and I'll video that. But,
see, there's all kinds of surprises in store.
well, you just never know.
You don't never know.
We're in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Things happen here.
And we can say things like, we don't never know.
We don't never.
You
Did
don't
I say that or
never
did you
know.
say that?
You said it. I have proper English, ma'am. I'm from Bangor, Maine.
You're hilarious. Oh, thank y'all for joining us, and we'll see you around the town.
I'm wearing pants.
Oh my gosh!
Well, you can't say. I don't want people wondering.
I'm wearing pants too,
They
y'all.
might think I'm a prop act.
Hey, listen,
Get it?
Yeah, prop act. I'm wearing pants too. I drove up here from Jackson, Madison, Mississippi this morning.
I
So
did
we
not
are
say
fully
that.
clothed. Hey, let me back up and prove it. I don't know if I can, but yeah, there they are. All right, y'all have a great day. Thank you for
Love
joining
y'all.
us. We'll see you around the town. That was